What's up, everybody? This is another episode of the Daily Show Sports. This is going to be sports related, right? So, anyways, what I wanted to talk about is this idea, this whole Super Bowl show, right? This whole Super Bowl halftime show that has all this controversy, right? It's this crazy thing that happened where the controversy just outrageous, right? Like everybody has issue with the way J-Lo came out, the symbolism, the tribute to Kobe Bryant. There's all these things, right? It has 80 million views on YouTube in 2 days, right? That's hard for any video to do on YouTube because there's so much content that's being uploaded. It has 80 million views. Obviously, it was a halftime show. There's probably 200-300 million people that saw that show. And so, the controversy in that show was very entertaining. I get the whole point of why people were upset. And, it led me to think about this idea, right? That, when I saw this, I kind of came to the realization, and maybe this is something that's already been kind of the observation has already been there, but there's nothing from this point, from what we deal with right now in media, is there is nothing that is exempt 100% from outrage, right? In other words, there's nothing that could be made in a grand scale that does not get some kind of outrage media, because the outrage culture has this huge market, this whole huge audience that can see ads, right? So what happens is this drive to have this outrage culture, right? Like, oh, this was not good, right? Because, the girl was in cages and it was supposed to symbolize, the immigration reform problem and how that was dealing with. And, and J-Lo's daughter said, we're all American, it's born to be a USA and all this other stuff. Okay, dude, really? Like, I get where everybody's coming from, but it's happening more and more that people are being outraged just to create media so they can sell ads to the outraged community, right? We live in a reactive time instead of making quality journalism, quality news, and quality topics. Oh, this is outrageous because this is really not right. No, it's outrageous because you have a fan base that requires you to put out content every week, and you have to be salacious. And so you have to be outrageous with the thumbnail clickbait titles and fake news. It doesn't even really matter anymore in the internet that it's true or that it makes coherent sense, right? Anybody that does anything could have been outraged, because so let's look at the converse, the opposite of this whole Super Bowl commercial, right? Okay, J-Lo didn't do enough for the community. If there was none of that symbolism that was in place, J-Lo didn't do enough. They didn't represent the Hispanic culture. She didn't acknowledge any of the issues that we're dealing with in the U.S. in such a big audience. So then she does the opposite, and then you have the same opposite people that are selling ads against those clickbaity titles. So the relevance of what is right and wrong, when it gets reported in the news, it has to be salacious so that people can bump ads against it, right? That's all it is. Is it really right or wrong? We don't know that, because these articles that are getting put out, these short clickbaity articles that people read nowadays, are being put out, and whether they have merit or not, you're given an opinion that's not based on logic, right? You're given an opinion that's built to attract attention of a 10-year-old, right? So it's like, if I wanted to say something salacious, all I have to do is say Fortnite, Mr. Beast, David Dobrik, PewDiePie. All I have to do is say those words in my video or use those in thumbnails, and I can get a ton of kids to watch that because they want to see what that's about. Whether it's true or not, I can say, according to my confidential sources, I know David Dobrik, I know PewDiePie, I know Jennifer Lawrence, I know these people, I know that people. Whether I know them or not has no relevance in the fact of what my statement's going to be, because we don't know who knows who. And so when they put out these articles of criticizing everything that gets put out now, any piece of entertainment has a companion piece of criticism. That's the way it works now. It's almost like they know this structure So sometimes now these companies that put out these mass, the football, basketball, baseball, concerts, entertainment, all these mass forms of entertainment, a TV show, right? Like, I'll give you another example. Like, everybody was upset, and it was so dumb when Game of Thrones had that plastic bottle in there. Oh my God, they revealed that the Game of Thrones is not real and somebody messed up. Did that person get fired? Did the digital editor that could have painted that out of the scenes, he could have just keyframed it and took every single key, and if they would have saw it? Was it on accident? Was it on purpose? Who knows, or who cares? Was that really relevant to the storytelling that was occurring? No, but what that does is that creates, when these clickbaity organizations come out and they make statements about it, they're now in a position where they can make money off of some kind of minuscule object that really has no relevance to anything, So that's kind of what the interesting thing about this halftime show, that it got all this criticism. It was a greatly entertaining show. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, knocked it out of the park. They did all this other great stuff, and Jennifer Lopez's daughter was amazing. Like, that was a cool halftime show. A lot of people saw it. It obviously was the way it was because it had a bunch of revisions and a bunch of it went through a bunch of people to get approved, right? It's one of the biggest shows in media, right? The most watched thing in pretty much the world, the single most watched thing. And so when you have that, it opens the door for criticism either way. So these vultures, if you would, who want to negatively or positively, actually, there's no positive about it, because what happens is that if Jennifer Lopez wouldn't have had that symbolism in there, there would have been criticism the other way too, right? So what they do is, it's a low-hanging fruit, right? It's the lowbrow criticism that unfortunately is starting to have less and less merit and has less and less weight. So criticizing these kind of situations is becoming less powerful, and unfortunately, to the people that truly criticize it for a real reason, are getting buried amongst those other people. So we're losing the true criticism of it. That's kind of what happened in politics, where it's like, it's so much criticism that is unfounded and untrue. This idea of fake news has surfaced, where you really can't judge what's true, unbiased criticism and what is. And so it's like confirmation bias. Well, I watch this channel and I believe what these people say all the time because I fall for it, and I want to believe in it because that's kind of the way I believe too. So you take everything they say and they throw in a couple of articles that have no merit or that unprovable. See, that's another thing too. It's called the unprovable lie. You can't tell me that I didn't have a dream about this. If I told you, I had a dream about shoelaces and sneakers, how could you possibly verify that? And so that's kind of the same vein, the same thought of what these people make these rumor mills, and they make these criticism. I shouldn't say rumor mill because that was the other video, but the criticisms are either way, are on either side of it. So the criticism culture, the criticism media, it bleeds into mainstream media, and it's not unbiased, because you have to sell ads against it. So if you're going to criticize something, you got to make sure that you don't criticize any of your advertisers. So if there was Pepsi in there, people are not criticizing Pepsi because they know that Pepsi buys ads on YouTube, and vice versa. And there's all these other things that they don't criticize. It's so interesting how that works, and you got to be very careful when you watch this stuff, because you could get duped into believing something that's not true. You are forced now, in today's age of so much information, you're forced now to have a little bit more informed opinion. And if you don't do that, then you're just a lemur, you're a follower, and that's just the way it's going to work. You're just going to believe anything that you see there. So that's why sometimes you read these articles on the internet and you say to yourself, how is it that people can believe this? Because they don't do any fact checking. They don't think for themselves. They allow all these vultures to create content of criticism that is very unjust, very undocumented, very unverified, and is just not true. Anyways, that's my rant on it. Tell me what you guys think. J-Lo and Shakira's 80 million view YouTube video of the halftime show is like #2 trending still, and the Super Bowl's been a couple days. Tell me what you guys think. Talk to you guys later. Bye.